singing in the champagne sprayed. The confetti's falling, the couple's kiss. I just got here wondering what I missed. It's over, baby, it's over. Start spreading the news, 'cause baby, it's over. It was photo finish down to the wire. Kids running the streets, setting cars on fire. I see tears of joy, tears of rage. The chapter is closed, we've read the final page. It's over, baby, it's over. Start spreading the news, 'cause baby, it's over. She got a tattoo on her arm that said Carpe Diem, and a couple more where nobody could see him. She called home that night, told off her daddy, said when morning comes, you're gonna feel bad. But tonight feels like the 4th of July, or funeral procession where no one has died. The riot squad's standing, the people eat cake, the dogs are barking, it's getting late. And it's over, baby, it's over. Start spreading the news, 'cause baby, it's The pigs have flown, the cameras flashed, hell's frozen over streets covered in trash. The sun's coming up so hesitantly, like it's walking in on something it shouldn't see. And it's over, baby, it's over. Start spreading the news, 'cause baby, it's over. And it's over, baby, it's over. Start spreading the news, 'cause baby, it's over. Start spreading the news, 'cause baby, it's over. Start spreading the news, 'cause baby, it's over.
All right, we are ready to, Mr. Engineer.
Hello.
Can we get a little juice on the mics? All right, thanks everybody. Thanks Trapper Schoepp. Kicked it off with a couple new songs. Trapper, is this the first time those have ever been played on the air, or?
This is first.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe the only.
Hooray.
World premiere. Sweet. All right, it's quite a big month for you guys. I want to know, skating back a little bit, when did you all start working on Primetime Illusion, which is the album that's coming out on Extra Mile at the end of the month?
I'm glad you didn't ask what's over exactly. We started working on it. I guess about a year ago with Patrick Sansone, who some of us might know from the band Wilco. It's so funny. I just remembered yesterday how I came to know Patrick, and I started going to these open jam sessions in New York City. Craig Jarrett Johnson, who's in a band called the Jayhawks and the Golden Smog, he hosted these, and he said, you can come on down if you hang out. If you're cool enough, I'll let you start playing. So every time I came to New York, he gave me a longer and longer set. And it was ridiculous, the kind of people that would show up. It was like Michael Stipe and Cat Power and this ridiculous stuff. So I would walk up there and start shaking and be like, my name is Trapper Schoepp. And we did a Chicago version of this. And we were playing this song, Freight Train, which we do. And Pat walks in and unannounced completely just sits down at an open seat at the piano and he starts playing. I said, oh my God, this is a guy I want to get to know. And so fast forward a couple of years, and we're sitting next to him in Wauwatosa working on the record, working on the song Freight Train with him. So it was so cool, a bit of a mini full circle moment with Patrick that I just remembered yesterday, actually, how that all came to be. So
Very
that's
cool.
music, though.
Yeah.
Did he remember you from those New York sessions then? Is that why he showed up?
Of course,
Okay.
yeah. So we toured quite a bit with the Jayhawks, and he's been tight with them for years. So I got to know Pat through those guys, and it was really, really a cool thing to get to know Pat. And we could not have had more fun doing this record. I think everyone on stage will speak to that. It was really just a really fun experience overall. And the fact that we got to all go home to our own beds at night and go to Beans and Barley or wherever we wanted to for lunch. We didn't have to scramble around. It was really a great experience doing it in Milwaukee. So Milwaukee production through and through.
Okay, so, your lineup has been pretty solidified for a long time, but just how long have you all been playing together as this current lineup?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
It's probably been so long that, doesn't
true.
feel like it ever not was.
Yeah, I think a few years, I guess. I don't know.
That's
few
great.
years.
Well, congratulations on...
It's always a matter. A few years is,
Sticking
I
together.
found, the safe answer in music. So how
Yeah.
long have a few years, I guess.
We'll take that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Now, I know I caught a bunch of your set at Summerfest this past summer, and you had a band member on stage that I don't see here tonight who seemed to be much, much younger than the rest of the people.
Well, the show is 21 plus.
No, that's true. Can you
That's
tell
the
us,
reasoning for that. So the case is closed.
Tell us who that was, maybe.
Yeah, it's just a friend.
Just playing a guitar.
Yeah, it's.
I don't
it's
think it was plugged in.
Well, it's wireless. That's why.
Oh, okay.
You weren't listening, Cal.
Oh, untrained ear.
Actually, it's a close friend. It's this family, the McCollums, and the Terry McCollum worked for Apple, and he worked in Silicon Valley. He actually developed the I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm gonna. He developed the magnetic charger for the MacBook, and they kind of got that. They got that from that idea from a Japanese rice cooker, I guess. So I've been told. I'm giving away all the big secrets. But yeah, they've become family friends of mine. I actually live in their house now. I don't live with them. But yeah, they're very close. And Tenley sort of just comes up on stage and completely steals the show whenever he does. So it's becoming a major point of tension because, I need all the attention as the lead singer. So it's a major point of contention.
A little bit of a power struggle.
Yeah, I can't deal with it anymore. You won't be seeing him on stages in the future.
Oh, his fans are going to be so disappointed. So I also read an anecdote about you hanging out with a local basketball team. A few years back, you were teaching guitar to one of the members.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know where you found that,
Where
but
might that have been?
I was Michael Carter Williams' guitar teacher for a while, and this is so wild. I went over to his house, and I'll never forget. One day I walked in, and it was him and a group of the Bucks, and they're all sitting around watching SportsCenter, of course, eating pastries. And I walk in, and they all kind of give me a good look over. Who's this guy? And the lesson was supposed to start 15 minutes before, and so we're all just sitting there watching SportsCenter. And so I motioned to get out my guitar. And then so one of the guys, and I don't know any of their names, they're all just 7 feet tall to me. And I get out my guitar and I start playing. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. And then the entire Bucks squad, the 4 guys all sing, so darling, darling, stand we do 2 verses and 2 choruses, and then everybody acts like it had completely not happened, and we were like, all right, so cool, never mind. And it was a really kind of tender and beautiful moment. And then we went back to business, back to square one, and we moved along like nothing had happened.
So that wasn't the end of the lesson. You actually did have the lesson.
Yeah, then the lesson began. Then it was down to business.
Okay. I was going to ask who the best singer was, but you said you didn't remember.
I don't
any
know
names.
who, Maybe the Greek Freak was probably there. I don't know.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Well, let's do an audience question.
Keep those audience questions rolling in. Write them down on your
cards.
cards.
Yeah, write them down. You've got no cards, pens. If you have some burning questions. This person wanted to know, I guess this is for Trapper, were you named after a character on MASH?
Yes.
There you go. Burning question answered.
Okay.
Well, let's have you guys do another couple songs. Do you want to lead off with any stories on the next one?
Yeah. This one's called What You Do to Her. It's about the epidemic of sexual assault, which is no laughing matter. But I felt compelled to write it because I feel the big missing voice in this whole picture, in the whole Me Too movement, is men. Men have just sort of cowered in fear. So I thought that I should probably try to say something through song. So here we go. What you do to her, we all see. What you do to her, you should never be free. You said she had it coming, had that look in her eye. By the way she dressed, you could put your hand up her thigh. You did it once, twice, and then you do it to her, you do it to everybody. What you do to her, we all see. What you do to her, you should never be free. You said she was asking for it, gave you the go-ahead. It's your word against hers, but we've heard what you said. You said it once, twice, and three. You tell it to her and everybody. What you do to her, we all see. What you do to her, you should never be free. Never! Streets. I wish you nothing but a terrible defeat. But the jury has spoken, and they believed your lie. You're just an innocent man in a drunken disguise. What you do to her, we all see. What you do to her, you should never be free. What you do to her, we all see. What you do to her, you should never be free. Never! Do 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 do.
WMSE's Local Live. It's Trapper Schoepp. And that was the aforementioned freight train. We assume.
All right. Are you ready for some questions?
I'm
Mr.
so
Schoepp?
ready.
I want to go back to the first song you played there. You did on the record a duet with Nicole Atkins for What You Didn't Do to Her. How did you get hooked up with Nicole? Was it because of the producer, or are you buddies with her?
You know, I've met her a few times, but I said, there's no way we're doing a song called What You Do to Her if we don't have a strong female voice in it. There would be so many problems with that. And Pat said, well, I just had lunch with Nicole Atkins right before I left, and I said, that would be, pretty cool if we could get her because she's one of my favorite singers. And he said, I can ask her. So it was really that simple. But yeah, I've been listening to her records for years. So to have her voice, her very soulful voice on that track means so much to me. Yeah.
It sounds phenomenal on the record.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So recently, I don't know how recently the interview happened, but you were interviewed by Rolling Stone. Was that the first time that they called you
Yeah,
up?
we've been in there a couple times, but the first time I was waiting patiently. My phone, pops up. And yeah, we talked for a good half hour. And then he said at the very end, oh, I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I said, no, I'm quite enjoying being interviewed by Rolling Stone. Trust me, this is fine. So it was great, yeah.
You more nervous than, say, this interview, or less nervous for that one?
It doesn't really matter to me. I'm pretty chill. You might be able to tell that.
I was going to say, yeah. Okay. I suppose we might as well talk about the reason you were interviewed a little bit.
That's true. Where to begin?
Well, we were going to ask, how did you come across the song On Wisconsin by Bob Dylan, since it was penned in 1961? And how did you come to basically collaborate with Dylan?
Yeah, so it's a 57-year collaboration to start, which is wild.
You look so young.
Yeah, right. So I was reading through Rolling Stone, and I just saw Bob Dylan song about Wisconsin up for auction, $30,000. And I thought, well, I don't have that much money to start. That sucks. But what I could do is I could probably finish the song for him because he's very busy. This was a time when he was so busy he could not go get his Nobel Prize. So it was right around then, and I thought, well, let's see what I could do. So I went into my kitchen. I brewed, my French press coffee. I went and I sat down, and I just tried to get inside of a song that was started over 50 years ago. So the song is this narrative about a drifter, someone who's lost, and they're imagining our great dairy state as sort of a safe homeland filled with, our finest exports, being milk, cheese, and beer, right? So he actually mentions those things in the song, and I just immediately connected with the narrative. So what I had in my head was this sort of, I was imagining this Woody Guthrie kind of character hitchhiking out to New York on a train. And I was hearing in my head this sort of train car, sort of a like a train. And someone at night. So I had that sort of feel in my head. And that almost, you call it country, old-timey, a little bit of polka, I don't know. But I had that feel in my head. And so then I added in our state's fight song, on Wisconsin, calling me that way. On Wisconsin, I think I'm going to stay. So that is where the co-write actually comes into play. So I finished the song. We put it out there on the World Wide Web, thought nothing of it. And Billboard.com took notice pretty quickly. And then Minnesota Public Radio. It kind of spread a bit to enough where I sent it to my manager out in LA. And I just sort of jokingly said, "You should get this to his Bobness." And it was right around that time that he found himself in regular contact with Bob Dylan's manager, Jeff Rosen, through a series of very wild circumstances. So it took some major Hail Mary passes, some very hard work, and years of playing to go in the studio and know where to follow. But my great band, which I have up here, Quinn Sharber over here on the guitar, Tanner Schoepp on the bass, Bradley Cruz, and Justin Kroll on the drums. So yeah, it took a number of Hail Mary passes. But, it's very much in line with Bob Dylan's whole attitude, which is, one generation adapting another generation's work, right? The whole folk process. So, we finished the song, and it felt like forever. But, we did the deal, and it was pretty amazing. I got the word when I was in the grocery store on Prospect, and I walked around. I spent $300.
Might as well, right?
Yeah, it was great.
Amazing.
But what I just learned very recently, which makes it all the more mind-blowing, is there's a little date scribbled in the upper right-hand corner of the lyric sheet that I went off. And it says 11/20/61. And I was on the internet and I saw one of those posts that said, "This day in music history," or whatever. It said, Bob Dylan steps into the Columbia recording studio to begin work on his debut album. And it said 11/20/61. I thought, that date rings a bell. And I realized then that Dylan probably woke up and wrote that song the day he started work on his first album, which is a completely mind-blowing thing for me to think about.
Or possibly even in the studio.
In the studio.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. But I just found out last night, too. What's so cool about this song is I keep finding out new layers to the story, right? My roommate and longtime WMSE employee, Chris, just filled me in as he heard me fumbling through questions on the phone on an interview. I don't know what Bob Dylan's, did he live in Wisconsin? Chris says, "Here, check this book out." And, I read in this book, Bob Dylan's last stop before New York City was Madison, Wisconsin. And it was there that he saw Pete Seeger. And that gave him, as the book said, the sort of confidence to go meet his hero, Woody Guthrie. So Madison, Wisconsin, if you're listening. So yeah, I think the coolest part about this whole thing is, it's cool for the state of Wisconsin. It's great for me. But it's a Nobel Prize winners forever mark on our state. So that doesn't suck.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, did you have any favorite pre-existing Bob Dylan songs that you covered back in the day, or even still these days?
Yeah. We used to do Highway 61 Revisited because I grew up literally a stone's throw from Highway 61. I was born in Red Wing, Minnesota, and so I grew up right there. And then we'd do Maggie's Farm because that's like 2 chords. So yeah, and then I always sound check with "Meet me in the morning, 56 6 and Wabasha. So yeah, I mean, Dylan's songs are so much a part of any singer-songwriter's life, and they're so a part of our cultural fabric, and it's so cool to now have the song a part of our state's history. So I'm very proud to be just a part of it, a medium, and the band too.
Absolutely. Speaking of the band, maybe we should have a couple more tunes.
So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Yeah, Wisconsin is a dairy state. Guess you all know it well. I was in Wauwatosa. The truth I will tell. It's a milk and cheese and cream. Yes, I've known it all my days. And I'm going to my hometown. I'm leaving right away. I'm headed to Wisconsin. 2,000 miles to go. Madison, Milwaukee sets my heart aglow. I'm headed to that state and my heart's beating fast. And I'll jerk my banjo gently and twiddle my mustache on Wisconsin. On Wisconsin. It's calling me that way. On Wisconsin. On Wisconsin. I think I'm going to stay. Yes, there's thoughts I left there long ago. Ones are coming now, it seems. I'll tune my banjo in the hills, feast on milk and cream. And I'll stamp my foot through the grass, and I'll never know or care. Yes, my home's in Wisconsin, and I'm going there. On Wisconsin. On Wisconsin. It's calling me that way. On Wisconsin. On Wisconsin. I think I'm going to stay. Yes, you people with your city ways are driving me insane to drink. Yes, my home's in Wisconsin. It's a better place, I think. I have been to California and I've been all around, but my home's in Milwaukee, and I'm gonna own this town. On Wisconsin. On Wisconsin. It's calling me that way. On Wisconsin. On Wisconsin. I think I'm going to stay. Yes, I might as well stay. Yeah. Sleight of hand, sleight of hand. You can't go on loving me with your sleight of hand. Well, now I see you, and then I don't. We won't piece together this broken road. So put me in chains, and I will escape. A fool would fall for it, but a fool I ain't. Sleight of hand, sleight of hand. You can't go on loving me with your sleight of hand. So put me in a box, away from the lights, and cut me in half when it's sealed up tight. An abracadabra. Well, now I see the horrible spell is put of me. Sleight of hand, sleight of hand. You can't go on loving me with your sleight of hand, sleight of hand, sleight of hand. You can't go on loving me with your sleight of hand. For you I will not shed a tear. For your next trick I won't be your volunteer. Sleight of hand, sleight of hand. You can't go on loving me with your sleight of hand, sleight of hand, sleight of hand. You can't go on loving me with your sleight of hand.
Trapper Schoepp, everybody, thank you so much. Man, this hour's going by real quick. We've got a couple more questions for you, though, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Are we gonna do more music too?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. We got the whole band here, so.
Might as well, right?
We're gonna do both.
I wanted to ask about, because I know you've been doing these Tom Petty tribute shows recently.
Oh my God, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly. I'm a huge Petty fan myself, and I'm just kind of wondering when, if you remember how you got introduced to his music, and just talk a little bit about what his music meant to you, or means to you still.
I can do that. How much time do we have? Yeah, my dad had full moon fever in his Suburban growing up, and I think he played that thing hundreds of times. And, you know, that warm opening F chord on Free Falling, I think, just gave me all, you know, it just meant so much to me growing up. It meant that we were going somewhere, and that has always stuck with me throughout my youth and throughout my adulthood. And I think what Tom Petty represents to me is someone who's weathered every storm. And his music, it speaks to the duality of life, right? So the highs, the lows, the intoxication, but then the hangover, right? So he's so good at that, learning to fly, but coming down. So there's so much to learn for someone like me from him. But, more importantly, him and what he represented and the band that he brought with him. So if you look on the stage right now, it looks a lot like the band that Tom Petty ran around planet Earth with. So the keyboard, the organ, all of that. So, he really did mean so much to me. And the night he passed, we had this kind of wild party on my house, completely unplanned. People just assumed I was having a party, which I was. But people kind of just kept coming one by one over to my house with bottles of whiskey and such, right? But it was so special. And then the next morning, I did have a terrible hangover. And I sat at my kitchen table, and I wrote Shakedown, the first song we played, thinking about him and some things that I saw on a trip when I went up to the Boundary Waters about these young pilots, actually, that are doing their training for war in the sky above, and you get to see them because the sky is so clear at night. You see them literally flying through things such as, the Northern Lights. And you can see, if you can count, my friend who's lived up there for 30 years, he says, 12 minutes, they'll be coming back. So we're out in canoes, and you can see they fly above. And in 12 minutes, they hit the end of America, and they come back. But without someone like Tom Petty, I don't think I would search for those kind of stories, and I don't think those stories would find me. So he's so important to me.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. Are you going to do any more tribute shows, Tim? Do you have anything planned, or is that kind of...
Let's do a Tom Petty song right now, actually. It'll be just me and my brother. But
we can do that.
Yeah, you do mind?
Go ahead.
Cool. Let's do that. This is one I listened to the morning after he passed. I went down to Lake Michigan, and I just listened to it on loop. The duality of life. This is one, really speaks to that.
Some days are diamonds, some days are rocks, some doors are open, some roads are blacked, sundowns are golden, then fade away. And if I never do nothing, I'll get you back someday. 'Cause you've got a heart so big that it could crush this town, and I can't hold out forever. Even walls fall down. All around your island there's a barricade that keeps out the danger and holds in the pain. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you cry. Half of me is ocean, and half of me is sky. 'Cause you've got a heart so big that it could crush this town, and I can't hold out forever, even walls fall down. Some things are over, some things go on. Part of me you carry, and part of me is gone. 'Cause you've got a heart so big that it could crush this town, and I can't hold out forever, even walls fall down.
That was beautiful. We had an audience member, it's not exactly a question, but wanted to point out that Milwaukee and Howie Epstein, of course, was Petty's bass player for a while. You probably
Of course.
were aware of that.
Yeah, actually last week, two weeks ago, we were playing a gig at the Cheel in Thiensville. And Howie's brother walks in, BJ, and we kind of sang some Heartbreakers songs together. It was a cool moment.
Wow, cool.
And Tanner, not to bury the lead, but he got to play Howie's bass that is at the restaurant. How did it play,
Wow.
Tanner?
It played well. It's a fretless bass with no volume knob, so it's a wild beast, and I had fun taming it.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Well, speaking of guitars, we had another audience question. This is for Trapper. We wanted to know what your first guitar was and when did you start playing guitar?
I first started playing guitar after getting into a BMX biking accident when I was 13, 14 years old. My mom signed me up for guitar lessons, and I thought, well, this seems pretty boring compared to jumping off dirt jumps that I make in our backyard. So it didn't quite take right away. And then I was sitting in my parents' basement watching a BMX biking movie, and the funniest thing happened. The song Hurricane starts playing as a part of the soundtrack, and I thought, whoa, who's this guy? And that was Bob Dylan. So that happened, and here I am.
That was not the story I was thinking we'd get, but
So that's
cool.
basically my whole life, was getting that DVD.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are running real short on time, and you do have another song lined up. But first, I want to ask a couple questions for the people in Radioland and also in the audience. Tell us about your album that's coming out, where they can find it, and also your celebrations you got planned around it.
Yeah, we're doing a Pledge Music campaign right now where you can buy all sorts of ridiculous things. Like we have an On Wisconsin coffee that's brewed by Anodyne Coffee, and you can pair that with, Anodyne. I love it. You can pair it with the vinyl and the T-shirt, whatever. And so Pledge Music is kind of the place for it. Or go to your local record store, right? That's always the best place to do it, because that's fun. That's way more fun than waiting for your... And we go on a world tour, basically, that's going to start kind of now. I got to get into shape. But that's going to take us all over the world for the next 2 years. It's going to be a crazy marathon. I'm going to go. We start in the Midwest. Milwaukee is at the Collectivo February 2nd. And then we're all over the Midwest, and then I pack my bags, and I do 2 months in Europe. And then when I get back, I pack my bags, and we do 2 months in the States in that month will probably turn into 2, and it'll turn into it's going to turn into the rest of my life, as it always has been. So yeah, it's going to just be this record. The next 2 years, I'll be coming to you. You won't be able to avoid me. Unfortunate if you don't like me. Sorry.
They wouldn't be here if they didn't like you, right?
Well, I'm speaking to the people that can't get their dial changed. But yeah, it's going to be a real fun 2 years.
All right, well, we got time for one more song.
Yeah, we'll save the happiest one for last. It's called
Right.
Drive Through Divorce. Here we go.
Am I back on now?
Hey honey, let's go. If we don't try, we won't know. She said it's true, I said I do. Back on the runway, this time not a one-way. Hate to return, desert heat, it burns. Pawn off our rings, heard a cover band sing Viva Las Vegas, my soul's on fire. Hearts racing, hands shaking. When you lost the coast, there's drive-through divorce. In the cab ride we cried, past the chapel where we tried. Unknown what was done, Elvis sang. Can't help falling in love. Didn't need no priest, don't need no lords, just a credit card or a money order. Changing our names, all in on a losing game. Hearts racing, hands shaking. When you lost the coast, there's drive-through divorce. When you lost the coast, there's drive-through divorce. Goodbye, city of second chances, bright lights, bad romances, low lives, cheating creeps. Yeah, nobody plays for keeps. Hearts racing, hands shaking. When you lost the coast, there's drive-through divorce.
Trapper Schoepp, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, everyone in the audience, stick around, say hey to the band after the show, but we got to close out on the airwaves. We want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to Club Garibaldi. Local Live is produced by myself and Cal. Tonight's segment was engineered and broadcast live from Club Garibaldi by Billy, and all video by Moleskin Productions. Look for the video later on our YouTube channel at WMSE Milwaukee. And also find upcoming guests and archives of past Local Live performances at WMSE.org. Tune in again next Tuesday. We got Neo Caveman coming in the studio.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Stick
Thanks,
around
everyone.
for some more tunes.